So I'm working on a guide for Legend Volk co-op for specifically the role of healer with additional elements of what everyone else needs to do to make the fight successful, but in the meantime I thought I would share my setup for solo Volk to help everyone clear that more reliably, as well as the tips and tricks that I use specifically in the fight, because I do have a few. Alright, bear with me because I'm going off script for this one. So this is my team setup that I used for the solo fight using Lowen, Leonidas, Naveed, and Azaleth. Now this is not the only clear comp you can use. My first clear comp used Makoto instead of Leonidas and Galaxy instead of Azaleth. So going through the specific build that I used, everyone has an 8 unbound Agito weapon, and you can see their dragons here. Lowen has Hybern Hilda, max unbound, because she provides the best recovery potency for a healer in the flame element right now. Leonidas has Dread King Rathalos. Mars will probably work as well, but I only had 1 max unbound, so that went on Naveed. And I wanted Leonidas to have a very powerful 4-strike for reasons I'll show later. And then Azaleth has Arctos, because Arctos is really good on her, and Arctos also plays a part in the strategy I used. And then for shared skills, I had Lowen run Majestic Tide. You pretty much just need a Frostbite Inflicting skill. Now, as far as Wormprint setups, so Lowen, I'm running just Skill Haste and then Buff Time Skill Prep so that he can start the fight with his skills. But the important thing here is actually the Affliction Guard and then the Print Unfilled Visions, as both of them together grant him full stun res. Which is really useful, not for popping nodes per se, but actually just for keeping him from getting stunned. And then the Affliction Guard past that will keep him from getting accidentally poisoned. And this is particularly important on your healer, because if your healer dies, you're basically through. On Leonidas, we of course have basic skill damage. 4-strike is again really important on him. Flurry Strength is really easy to keep up on a Manicaster like this, 4-strike type one. And then of course he has Manicaster critical rate, and then I'm running Frostbite Punisher on basically all the DPS. So Naveed also has Frostbite Punisher, he has Sword Skill Damage, Flurry Strength, Dragon Skill. You can definitely use something different on him. I think in the specific clear I'm going to show, I don't actually Dragon as Naveed, so you could definitely use something different here. But then I am running Golemars on Naveed, and it's particularly useful to Dragon as Mars later in the fight, because he readies all your skills, and that's really useful for iframes. And then we have, of course, Azaleth. Azaleth has the skill damage, flurry strength. I'm running Broken Punisher on her because I want her to hit really, really hard at the end of the fight in the Berserk mode. This is additive, not multiplicative with her own Broken Punisher, I believe, but it's still really nice to have. And then she has Dagger critical rate, and then of course Frostbite Punisher. So the first thing I want to show is the helper I used for the fight. So you want a Grace helper with a max unbound Ramiel and preferably a little more Dragon Haste. Level 100 Ramiel is definitely max unbound, otherwise it's kind of hard to tell if they're max unbound or not. So here's my team again, Grace helper. But yeah, so as the fight gets going, the order I start out my team with is important. So you want Lowen in the lead because you're going to have to heal off Plague pretty immediately. So Volk is going to teleport out and then teleport behind you, and you really can't split up your team very easily, so I just heal and then swap to Leonidas and roll away and hope that he's the only one left plagued or something. So basically, then I go around and pop all the nodes with Leonidas, dodging the blades as necessary, and basically just hoping my AI don't get hit by this. So, and then I swap to Azaleth, because what Azaleth is going to do is go to Arctos. And with this, I'm going to wait until Volk stops dashing, count to 2 seconds, and then skill, and after Volk announces Pestilent Wind, but before he teleports away, I'm going to stun him. And what this does is it cancels the spin attack phase entirely. And the rest of this entire phase is identical to phase 1 of Expert Agito. And so ideally you want to clear before Resentment ends. So what I'm doing here is I'm swapping to my AI and making sure they're south of Volk and still close to him, so that Lowen can bait everything properly. Now this actually baits really improperly here. All those red lines should have been on Lowen so that he could roll forward and dodge them. And the reason I didn't get poisoned there, or afflicted in any other way, is because I'm running the Rose Prince. So I actually had a really, really fast phase 1 here. And so move on to phase 2. And so at this point I swap to Naveed. So you'll see me using his skill 3 all the time as an iframe. Basically, for the rest of the fight, you want to be iframing to protect your team as much as possible. They're only invulnerable for the point where the text appears. So like Azaleth, for instance, has a 5-second iframe, but only the first like half second protects your team. So you'll notice when he did that swipe there, I framed to protect the team. Now, unfortunately, my DPS falls a little bit low here, and I didn't get him down below 10% of his or 90% of his HP to move on to the next phase of the fight. So he continues doing this phase again, and he's doing swipes. He's going to do a back swipe. But then I am actually going to get his HP down, and we're going to move on to the next phase where he summons wolves. Oh, not quite. So interesting thing about these gales, it feels like you want to run away, but after he throws them, the safest place is actually right next to him because the gales will be bouncing around the rest of the arena. This is especially true if he's at the edge of the arena. So right here I iframe to protect the team from the wolves. So Overwhelming Hunger, you basically never want to get hit by this, and I don't trust the team to dodge it. Somehow Lowen still got plagued, and he's going to get hit by the node over there, but heal it off because he's running healing just nilly-willy. Yeah, at this point, you don't want anyone to be plagued for that move, but I actually broke right here, which was very nice. And I accidentally enabled my combat log here, and I do end up dragging his Naveed, just because I wanted to get a little extra damage on break, and I had it going. So you'll notice I haven't used my Grace skill yet. That's because you want to use it for this. The Life Shield prevents the Blood Moon from charging, and that's its primary role in this fight. Its secondary role is keeping everyone alive during Berserk Phase. So this Resentment Phase is a bit tricky. I'm gonna in a moment swap through all my team to make sure they're not out in the Resentment Fog, because them being plagued makes them highly susceptible to getting afflicted by something, which is really annoying that they all went ahead and got afflicted anyway. And they all have life shields anyway, so it doesn't matter. So this Overwhelming Hunger, you definitely want to iframe. It lines up well with the lines coming across the screen. And so the swipes here are purple, so your AI will go hide in the Resentment Fog, which is technically okay, because like Leonidas has now lost his life shield, but because he was plagued, he wasn't charging the Blood Moon, and you can see the Blood Moon doesn't have any charge right now. So I try popping a skill here right before the purple, just because I can. And at this point, we're just trying to DPS him down, and I swapped to Lowen right before Squalls, completely coincidentally. Now, the one thing I try to do with Squalls is you want your targeting reticle to stay on Volk if you can, because if it leaves him, your AI will flee from Volk and try and follow you and ignore if the Squall's in the way or not, possibly getting hit. So at this point, I entered Berserk Phase, and at this point, it's a game of don't let the AI get hit. So I swapped to Gal Leonidas because he's actually insane at breaking. You can just see how fast the overdrive bar is going down. The faster you break him, the more likely you are to win. Unfortunately, I have to dodge here, and he starts swiping. His swipes here are a little bit faster than other parts of the fight, and they deal massive damage. So a thing I forgot to mention earlier is I did pop another life shield, but, you know, life shield. And so at this point, yeah, you just want to break him as much as possible. And the other thing with Leonidas is you'll notice I really don't skill even when my skills are ready. Basically, the entire idea here is to just keep the team alive. Now, I see someone who's plagued here. That's bad because, well, I guess Azaleth dodged it. But typically, if your area gets hit by that, they'll get slept or stunned. So yeah, you'll see it's break, and I'm just not even using my skills because I'm planning on holding on to them until later when I can use them for iframes. And I decided to go ahead and dragon here because I want to kill all the wolves. You'll see all of the wolves lined up really nicely for me, and I just completely obliterate them. Unfortunately, Volk starts throwing stuff around. Thank goodness Lowen is way out in the middle where he's not going to get hit, except by that, so I iframe. And I was going to use Overwhelming Hunger. This can be iframed, so I, of course, try to iframe it. Steel Vitality cannot be iframed, but we have Life Shield, or we had Life Shield, and so he breaks again. And so I believe very shortly, yeah, I swapped to low and I used the Life Shield again. So that's my third and final Life Shield, and it's basically just there to keep everyone alive. So I swapped to Naveed to get back to Leonidas, but I accidentally leave Squalls on him. So you'll see Lowen's following me, and he didn't get stunned there because he had Affliction Guard. Azaleth did get stunned because she got hit by that. Basically, the whole team got hit by that, except Naveed. So if someone's stunned, it's not the end of the world because you can still iframe for them. And I iframe here because he's targeting, I don't know where he's going, so he's an iframe, and he's dashing again, so I completely missed this skill, but it's okay because no one died. And then I use a skill there, but I don't have any more skills, and unfortunately, Azaleth gets hit, but she's not dead yet, and we break just before that dash, so she doesn't die there. And you'll notice, yes, I could be using my strength skill to make this hit 40% harder, but I do want to use that right here for an iframe, and I know he's going to do it again, so I get close, and I actually hit with the skill this time. He's going to use Overwhelming Hunger, which I can iframe. And at this point, we're getting kind of close to the end, but you don't want to just assume you're close to the end. You'll see why in a little bit. So I try to wear him down here, and I realize I'm going to accidentally break him during Squall. So what I want to do is just stay close to him while not hitting any of my teammates with the Squall so that they stay targeting. And you'll notice I get him down to a sliver of health here. Now, it looks like I should just be able to kill him, right? And so I decide, yeah, I'm just going to kill him. I go ham with my skills. I drag in. His defense is actually ridiculous. Don't assume that just because he's on the edge there that you're going to get him. I got really lucky and did actually finish him there. So, sorry that was a bit rapid fire, but that is my solo clear that I did earlier this evening, actually. I'm getting more consistent at it as I go because of some of the tricks I'm using, which is really nice. So, I hope you all got something out of this. Let me know if you have any feedback, and I will work on getting my low and healing guide for co-op out as soon as I actually clear co-op.